Malicious conduct. Courts may impose punitive damages to punish a defendant. These jackpot verdicts and windfall awards, however, damage respect for and public confidence in the civil justice system. Yeah. This section provides approaches for accurately measuring each type of damages. Economic damages, non-economic damages, yeah, and punitive damages. Oh, now I talked to you about the damages of refusing to enforce my civil rights. Then I documented the numerous innovations. And then there's that pain and suffering of being separated from my sons for 7 years and 5 months. Yeah. Then I informed you that I wanted to speak to a certain somebody about why her husband was using a picture of my sister Susan Bowers. And then how upset I was that you kept sending court notices to the same person that turned the electricity off on me in the middle of winter. Now, the causal source rule first appeared in American tort law, and I'm going to really want to look at this because concluded the damage award to the plaintiff should court reason under well-established common law principle. The position ultimately adopted the restatement of the second of court torts. Yes. Now, I've been injured in that you made up crimes that I didn't commit. Yeah. You refused to enforce my rights as a father. Yes. There's this question of inheritance. Nobody has called me about where's my grandmother Eunice Condit. Yes. I think she was somewhat well-to-do. She could have stayed in her own house. And then as an heir, of Elmer and Verna Holz's estate, yes, Clara Holz. Yeah. Then there's the question of Edward Budnick, and did he own an actual well to the aquifer that was hand dug in 1920? Yeah. Then my own sons, I mean, Hattie's biological father, DeWitt Briggs. I told you I wanted my last name back, and I want to be able to marry again. There's the United Nations and the United Nations marriage certificate. I think you are prejudicial and biased and malicious, coach, vexatious, full of hate crime, and it's just another Matthew Shepard way of doing it, where you have somebody put away in a mental institution, you load them up full of benzos, so they're slobbering all over themselves, and then there's the Joel Law, where the immediate relatives that sold me out years ago show up and say, well, I have to take care of him since he no longer can feed himself. Now, just so that I know, because I think we should look at Joel's Law. Let's say I was worth a lot of money and you're prejudicial and biased because you were bribed. And Joel's Law would say, well, as long as we can get a cell hearing on Friday, yes, we can't consider it, what is it again? Matthew Shepard hate crime. We're doing this for the good of the family, and we're going to put him in a mental institution. With the evidence that he wasn't in Brennan, knowing he sent 2 million emails, and every person in law enforcement, all of them agreed that it's. Now, when you really think about it, this use of the restoration law, yes, to incapacitate somebody, label them as mentally ill, mentally defective, having delusions, schizophrenic, bipolar. When I said, well, you're going to have court hearings, Judge. Just give me the notice, but you were having court hearings without actually putting it on the docket. Well, how much did you get paid? And it's worth it? Yeah. Now, I'm just looking here. There's Latin and link, restoring rule of law. Yeah. There's a civil rights guide. I don't know if it's still here or not. Now, I thought the equal protections of the law were included in the civil rights. Yes. Then I thought there was life, liberty, and property without due process. Chooch. Then there was the privileges and the immunities. Oh. Then there's the careers in civil rights and civil liberties. Chooch. I would think any individual as an attorney that works for any law firm that's involved in civil rights, yeah, would have knowledge of the Matthew Shepard legislation. Yeah. Now, selected civil rights, civil liberties organizations. Maybe we should do a web page search. Yeah. How many of those in the profession of civil rights and civil liberties? Yeah. Alabama American Civil Liberties Union. Yes. The ACLU. I emailed them. Why don't you get me all the members of the ACLU and what they, the Alliance Defense Fund, I've heard of this before. Yeah. Religious Freedom, I think I actually emailed them. Oh, Southern Poverty Law Center, that legal at SPL Center. Maybe I should copy and paste these and put them in the email tomorrow. And there's quite a few of them, aren't there? California Advancement Project of Los Angeles. Yeah. Just give me all of them, and then ACLU of Northern California. Oh, ooh, Asian Law Caucus. That's something new. Yeah. And the Equal Justice Society. Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, San Francisco. San Francisco is such a nice place. I'm sure there's a lot of homosexuals that said it was sexual orientation, not a hate crime. Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund, the MALDEF. Yeah. I emailed the Hispanic, Latinos, and Indians. You remember the Indian Bill of Rights, where if you as a non-right inform them of a hate crime, yes, I can sue for the actual ownership of every reservation in the United States of America, yes, for violating their oaths, for not enforcing the rights of citizens, yes, and violating the individual constitutions of the reservations. Why don't you give me all the oaths of the reservations? Now, there's the Individual Rights Foundation, the Meikle-John Civil Liberties Union. Yes, yes. Oh, reform whistleblowers, racial, ethnic, justice, cultural rights, voting, campaign finance. What? Well, Impact Fund for the Discrimination Research Center, the Independence Institute. Now, that's just two states. In Connecticut, American Civil Liberties Union. Yeah. Why don't you find out all the attorneys that 2006 office, 20 attorneys, yeah. Hawaii, Bellevue, Washington. Yes, yes, yes. This is the Pacific Legal Foundation. Looks like that. Oh, are you in the civil rights industry? Give me every one of these. And all the attorneys that earn their income because they say that they're in the civil liberties and civil rights profession where the mission of the ACLU of Colorado is to protect, defend, and extend yes, the civil rights and civil liberties of all the people in the United States, not just the jurisdiction of Colorado. Yes. And then get me the airport in Colorado. Yeah, 20 miles down. And each and every employee of every airport in the United States, Homeland Security. Now, I'm going to want